A big portion of the Earth is covered with deep oceans, with exciting mysteries waiting to be discovered. Humanity has still not uncovered much of what is hidden under our seas. Down there, creatures and objects of all sorts exist, and you can be sure that a lot of them are the very definition of weird. Keep watching to find out 10 of the weirdest things that have been discovered underwater, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great videos. At number 10, the world's first computer, Greece. That's right, this marvel, the Antikythera mechanism, reportedly existed long before Microsoft or Apple. It is said to be the oldest example of a computer, discovered on the Antikythera shipwreck off the Greek island of the same name between 1900 and 1901. The 2,000-year-old ship discovered off the coast of a Greek island was discovered with a large amount of artifacts, including vases, jewelry, and bronze statues. But there was one relic that perplexed archaeologists at the time, and it would take another 100 years for experts to comprehend its significance. Archaeologists now believe the Antikythera mechanism is arguably the world's first computer. The gadget appeared to be some type of calculating instrument, with its 24 gears delicately stacked on top of one another. It is now thought to have been used to predict the positions of the planets and stars in the sky based on the calendar month. The Antikythera is an analog computer that was designed to anticipate astronomical locations and eclipses on the calendar, among other things. Due to the loss of so much of this period's technology, such advanced technology did not reappear in European historical artifacts until the 14th century. The National Archaeological Museum of Athens now has it on exhibit. At number 9, the Sweepstakes Canada. Based on a figure released by the United Nations, the ocean floor is littered with about 3 million shipwrecks, and the Sweepstakes, which lies barely 20 feet beneath the surface of Lake Ontario, is one of the most magnificent. According to the Daily Mail, this 19th century schooner was built in 1867. In 1885, she was hauling coal near Cove Island when her hull was damaged and it was decided to sink her. Sweepstakes is currently a popular tourist attraction in the Fathom 5 National Marine Park. The Sweepstakes hit a rock on Cove Island on August 23, 1885, and sank in shallow water near the light station. She stayed there until September 3rd when a tugboat called Jessie hauled her in. The Sweepstakes was determined to be beyond repair. Therefore, she was stripped of all salvageable rigging and equipment before being sunk at her present position. Her coal load was recovered at a later date. The Sweepstakes' virtually undamaged hull rests in 6 meters of water, 45 meters from the mouth of Big Tub Harbor. At number 8, Yanaguni Pyramid, Japan. Giant stone structures lie just beneath the waves off Yanaguni-jima, and scientists aren't sure if they're the ruins of a long-lost Japanese Atlantis or a completely natural formation. Masaki Kimura, a marine geologist from Japan's University of the Ryukyus who has dived the site for over 15 years, believes the ruins are those of a 5,000-year-old city. The largest structure looks like a complicated monolithic stepped pyramid that rises from a depth of 25 meters, he told National Geographic. However, not everyone agrees, and Robert Scotch, a professor of physics and mathematics at Boston University, believes that these structures are fully natural sandstone formations and has disputed suggestions that they are artificial. The mystery remains unsolved. At number 7, underwater spiders. You would think that you'd be safe in the water if you're afraid of spiders. The diving bell spider, on the other hand, is a freshwater spider native to Europe and Asia that spends its entire existence underwater. It accomplishes this by constructing its own diving bell, similar to the chambers used by early divers to breathe underwater. The spiders weave a dome-shaped web between submerged plants before rising to the surface and trapping air bubbles with fine hairs on their legs and bellies, according to National Geographic. The spiders use these bubbles to fill the dome, resulting in a larger bubble that they can fit inside. That's incredible, regardless of how you feel about spiders. It spends the day in this enormous air bubble and hunts at night. Mating occurs within the web retreat, and the female constructs an egg chamber which she lays and protects her eggs. Water spiders live in weedy lakes and ponds as well as slow-moving streams. The only spider that spends its entire life underwater is the water spider. It can be identified by the silvery air bubble it carries on the hairs of its body if caught when pond dipping. It appears gray-brown when taken out of the water. Spiders like these may seem spooky, which is why we're thankful they mostly remain underwater. At number 6, the hidden city of Heracleon. The ancient Egyptian city of Heracleon, also known as Thonis, was located near Alexandria. Its ruins can be found at Abu Qir Bay, 2.5 kilometers off the coast, under 10 meters or 30 feet of water. Its origins are said to date back to the 12th century BC. Ancient Greek historians noted it. During the last days of the pharaohs, it became increasingly important. It served as Egypt's primary port for foreign trade and tax collection. Heracleon was initially built on a pair of islands in the Nile Delta. Canals ran through it, and it also had a lot of harbors and anchorages. It was now Crates' sister city and was surpassed by Alexandria. In the 3rd or 2nd century AD, the city fell. It was most likely caused by the liquefaction of the silts on which it was built as a result of earthquakes. In the year 2000, French underwater archaeologist Frank Gaudio discovered ruins buried in the sea. Scholars have been unsure whether Heracleon and Thonis were the same cities until then. Heracleon was the primary commerce port on the Mediterranean, in addition to being a major religious site. The city makes one think of the lost city of Atlantis, hidden away under the oceans. At number 5, the skeletons in Kund Lake. A lonely lake tucked away in a snowy valley in the Indian Himalayas is littered with hundreds of human remains. Kund Lake is located at the bottom of a steep slope on Trisul, one of India's tallest mountains in the state of Uttarakhand. It is 5,029 meters, or 16,500 feet above sea level. At the Lake of Skeletons, found by a patrolling British forest warden in 1942, the corpses are strewn about and beneath the ice. The lake, which is frozen for the majority of the year, expands and contracts depending on the season and the weather. The skeletons are only visible after the snow melts, sometimes with flesh attached and well preserved. So far, the skeletal remains of some 600 to 800 persons have been discovered here. The local administration refers to it as a mysterious lake in tourism advertisements. Anthropologists and scientists have researched the remains for more than half a century, baffled by a slew of problems. Who were these individuals? When did they pass away? How did they pass away? Where did they originate? According to one legend, the remains belong to an Indian monarch, his wife, and their entourage who died in a blizzard 870 years ago. At number 4, Cenotes of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. Thousands of deep sinkholes have formed in Mexico due to the collapse of limestone bedrock, and they are part of the world's longest underwater cave system. Although cenotes may be found all across the peninsula, there is a particularly dense concentration at the lip of the Chicxulub crater, which was formed by an asteroid or comet 66 million years ago in the event that is supposed to have wiped out the dinosaurs. Fresh water is flooded into the caves and the cenotes, which sit on top of salt water that seeps in through the connections to the sea. Cenotes on the Mexican peninsula have always been shrouded in mystery. The Maya believed they were portals to the afterlife and revered them as such. Divers have begun to survey the subterranean bodies of water, swimming distances of up to 60 kilometers in the process. At number 3, Underwater Graveyard, Canary Islands. In the year 2000, 40 crosses were thrown into the sea off the coast of the Canary Islands to build a memorial grave for Portuguese missionary Inácio de Azevedo and his 39 Jesuit comrades. The origin of Malpeque's sunken crosses begins in 1570, when a group of missionaries was boarded by a company of French pirates on their way to La Palma. According to Atlas Obscura, when the ship and cargo were seized, the crew was slain, and Pope Benedict XV declared the men martyrs in 1742. Today, the site is a renowned tourist dive spot. The underwater cemetery was created to commemorate a vicious pirate attack. It rests near the southern tip of the island of La Palma. If you were to take a dive underneath the water, you would see some 40 stone crosses erected on sand and rock. At number 2, Gakkel Ridge. The Gakkel Ridge, which runs between Greenland and Siberia, is one of the world's deepest mid-ocean ridges, reaching depths of up to 3 miles. It's no surprise then that the Gakkel Ridge's darkest corners remain largely unexplored. Despite this, it was only in 2003 that scientists discovered the first Arctic hydrothermal vents in the underwater mountain chain. Hydrothermal vents are a hotspot for sea animals with a density of up to 100,000 times that of the surrounding ocean. Because the Gakkel Ridge is so isolated from other oceans, these vents are expected to contain species found nowhere else on the globe. Researchers have discovered enormous volumes of pyroclastic volcanic deposits, which look like glass-like structures on the sea floor, during the Agave Arctic Gakkel Vents Expedition mission in 2007. The team explored the sea using an underwater robot and discovered huge amounts of microbial life. And at number 1, the underwater world of Molinaire Bay. The sculpture park at Molinaire Bay in Grenada was the world's first of its kind. It was part of an environmental sustainability project, half art installation. To explore the entire extent of this museum, which includes works by British sculptor Jason de Caires Taylor, you'll have to go scuba diving. The artist described how he went about developing a sculpture park that would support underwater life in a 2015 TED Talk. He did it by employing long-lasting pH-neutral cement to give the museum a sturdy and permanent base. It's textured to encourage coral polyps to stick to it, he says. We placed them downstream of a natural reef so that they have places to dwell after spawning. The formations are all set up in such a way that they collect fish on a massive scale. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon.